Morning friends, happy Monday, how the heck you doing? And it's total hypocrisy and negativity coming out of Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. Harry had a successful visit to the UK last week. Meghan's Instagram role proved it. Meghan is now being broadcast on MasterChef Australia. Their star power is rising, rising and rising. And all we get from the non-working, parasitic, taxpayer-funded royal family is absolute negativity about how to protect themselves. How to protect themselves from looking so work-shy, lazy, inadequate and useless when people compare them to Harry and Meghan. William and Charles must have united front on Harry's future visit. As the Prince of Wales is concerned, Harry's presence could overshadow the monarchy's work. What work, monarchy? What can we see as a general public, members of the country you claim to represent, where your work has delivered any direct measurable benefit to the UK? And royalists, don't get me going on about tourism, because people come to see the buildings, not the family. Look at the stats for the Palace of Versailles. The French don't even have a royal family, and that's the most visited palace in the world, full stop. When are we going to see some return on investment and benefit to the UK from this family? They take everything they can in droves, even the extended family, and they do as little as possible. The facts are facting, the data proves it.
This has gotta be the funniest fucking shit I've seen all week. Listen, I don't know what it was for, and nor do I care. I'm just flabbergasted, because this is the next king of England, y'all. Like, he's not even holding the nail. I have the video for y'all, so just take a look here.
Like a nail.
Yes.
Lord, okay. It's going to completely rip the whole thing apart.
No, that's alright.
Here we go. This is as ready as it's going to be. Here we go.
Okay, so let's just dissect the video real quick. First of all, I get safety in that, but what the fuck was the helmet for? All he did was hammer a nail into wood. Second of all, can we talk about the form, the grip on the fucking hammer? This man has never hammered shit in his life. Oh my god. Third of all, like I said, he wasn't even holding the fucking nail. Oh, and by the way, his fingernails are fucked. Why are you lying to his ass? That's fantastic. Literally all he did was hammer a nail. That's the most basic human shit. Someone on Twitter said that William's giving Fifth Harmony work from home. That music video when like Camila Cabello was like just hammering a fucking tire. Man, this shit is so pathetic. Like I said, this is the next king of England. The current one can't even fucking write with a pen without flipping out. And this one can't nail a fucking nail into some wood. Oh my days.
Seething Prince William will always be leaving town whenever Harry visits the UK, because he will not be told what to do by a tabloid journalist. Last week, Camilla Long said that Prince William can't just hide now that his brother is on maneuvers, which means basically out and about. And cut to this week when Prince William left the UK for Scotland in order to avoid his brother Harry, who was coming in to give testimony against ANL, and that seething Prince William plans to always leave town whenever Harry visits the UK. Why he is always described as seething and incandescent with rage is a topic that I love to explore. What is he so mad about? Why can his brother not have a life without him? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why does he have to avoid his brother at all costs? Is it because maybe his brother's memoir called him out as an abusive and tyrannical type of man. Literally, the headline says that he is seething.
If Harry can steal the spotlight without even trying, what's everyone so worried about? Squaddies, I've got a question. If Harry is supposedly yesterday's news, why does every rumour about one of his UK visits suddenly turn into a national discussion? Somebody explain that one to me. According to reports, there's concern Harry's presence could end up grabbing more attention than official royal business. Now hold on. Harry isn't the one calling the press conference. Harry isn't the one saying, "Everybody look at me." The headlines show up before the man has even unpacked his suitcase. That's wild. And here's where it gets funny. Imagine you quit your job 5 years ago. You're living your best life in another country. You've got your own projects, your own routine. Then one day you decide to visit your hometown. Meanwhile, your old office is acting like it's DEFCON 1. Managers are in meetings, people are whispering in the hallways, emails are flying. Everybody's asking what happens if he walks through the door. Really? You don't react like that to somebody who doesn't matter. You react like that to somebody people are still paying attention to. That's the difference. Here's another thing regular folks understand. Confidence doesn't spend all day checking who's watching. If you're secure in what you're doing, you get on with your work. You don't keep looking over your shoulder every 5 minutes wondering what your old coworker is up to. Life's too short. That's why this whole conversation feels upside down. Harry lives thousands of miles away. He isn't carrying out royal duties. He isn't showing up every week for official events. Yet every time his name pops up, the headlines go into overdrive. Think about that. Nobody can force millions of people to pay attention. You can publish press releases, you can organize ceremonies, you can plan picture-perfect events, but you can't order the public to be interested. People decide that for themselves. And sometimes, the person who isn't even trying to dominate the conversation ends up becoming the conversation anyway. That's not something you can manufacture, it's something that happens naturally. One thing is hard to ignore. The mere possibility of Harry visiting is enough to spark days of debate. Days before he's even arrived. If that doesn't tell you people are still interested, I don't know what does. Here's my favourite part. Some critics spend years saying Harry has no influence. Then the moment he's expected to appear somewhere, everyone suddenly starts asking what impact he'll have. Well, which one is it? Because both can't be true at the same time. At the end of the day, Harry doesn't need to chase the spotlight. The spotlight has a funny habit of finding him. That's why the conversation never seems to end. Influence isn't something you print on a business card. It isn't something you can demand. You don't have to announce it. People notice it on their own. The fact that his name can still dominate the conversation years after stepping away from royal duties says plenty all by itself.
Harry built his own lane. He doesn't need palace permission anymore. Squaddies, here's the part that always gets me. Some people really believed Harry would disappear the second he walked away from royal life. Remember that? Oh, he'll be forgotten, nobody will care, he'll be back in 6 months. Fast forward a few years, he's still making headlines, he's still filling news segments, he's still got people writing articles before he's even landed at the airport. So, what happened to all those predictions? They aged like milk sitting in the sun. Here's what regular people understand better than anybody. You don't have to stay at the company to be successful. Sometimes the best thing you can do is leave. Think about that friend who quit their 9 to 5 because they were tired of somebody else calling all the shots. Everyone laughed. You're making a mistake. Nobody's going to notice you. A year later, that same friend has their own business. They're happier, they're making moves. Now everybody suddenly wants to know their secret. Funny how life works. Harry's story feels a bit like that. He didn't sit around waiting for someone to hand him opportunities. He went out and built them. Look at the Invictus Games. Look at the causes he continues supporting. Look at the public conversations he's involved in. Whether it's veterans, mental health, or community projects, he keeps showing up. Not because somebody in a palace handed him a schedule, because he chose to. That's a huge difference. And here's the funny part. Some critics act like every headline about Harry only exists because of the royal family. Really? Then why does the conversation keep following Harry wherever he goes? California, New York, Canada, Africa, the UK. Different country, same headlines. That tells me people aren't just watching a location, they're watching the person. That's not something you can borrow. That's something you earn over time. Let's keep it real. Nobody keeps inviting someone onto global stages just because of an old job title. If that were true, every retired celebrity would still dominate the news forever. That's not how the world works. People stay interested when they believe someone still has something worth hearing. Simple as that. And here's what makes me chuckle. Every new Harry project gets analysed, every speech gets discussed, every visit becomes breaking news. Then 5 minutes later, somebody says he's irrelevant. Wait, you just spent 3 hours talking about him. Pick a lane. Here's what I think this really comes down to. Harry stopped waiting for the institution to define who he was. He started defining that for himself. That's something ordinary people respect. Maybe you've left a job that no longer fit. Maybe you've walked away from expectations that were never yours to begin with. Maybe you've decided your peace matters more than keeping everyone else happy. That takes guts. One thing is getting harder and harder to deny. Years after stepping away from royal duties, Harry is still part of the global conversation. Not because someone inside a palace is keeping him there, because he built a life that keeps giving people something to talk about. And that's a very different kind of relevance. Squaddies, here's one thing nobody can't control: people's attention. You can have the biggest press office in the world, the fanciest event, the sharpest photographers, the perfect speech, the nicest backdrop. But if people aren't interested, they're changing the channel. It's really that simple. That's why I laugh when people act like attention can be handed out like party favours. No chance. The public isn't a remote control you can program. People watch what they find interesting. End of story. Think about football for a second. 2 matches kick off at exactly the same time. One game is dull, the other is absolute madness. Last-minute goals, crazy saves, fans losing their voices. Which one is everybody talking about after the final whistle? The exciting one. Not because somebody ordered them to, because that's where the action was. The crowd made that decision. That's exactly how the media works. Editors can put 10 stories on the front page. Viewers decide which one blows up. Producers can schedule a dozen interviews. The audience decides which clips get shared. You can't fake curiosity. You either have it or you don't. And here's the part that makes me chuckle. Every time Harry steps out for an event, launches a project, or visits the UK, suddenly everybody starts watching. The news cameras appear, the headlines start flying, the comment sections explode. Then somebody turns around and says, nobody's interested. Excuse me? Who do you think is clicking on all these stories? Ghosts? Come on now. Regular people understand this better than anyone. If you stop caring about a musician, you stop playing their songs. If your favourite TV show gets boring, you stop watching. If a sports team loses your interest, you stop checking the scores every weekend. Life moves on. You don't spend years following something you genuinely don't care about. That's not how people work. Here's another funny one. Some folks spend half the day complaining about Harry, then spend the other half reading every article about him. At that point, Harry is basically part of your daily routine. Whether you're cheering or complaining, you're still paying attention. And attention is valuable. That's why media companies chase it every single day. Not because someone told them to, because that's where the audience is. At the end of the day, titles can open doors, but they can't make millions of people care. That's the audience's decision. Every click, every view, every headline people choose to read, that's a vote. And when Harry continues drawing that kind of interest years after stepping away from royal duties, it tells you something important. Attention isn't handed out because of a title. It has to be earned. The fact remains that so many people keep showing up whenever his name is in the news speaks for itself. You can't appoint inference. The public decides who gets it.
Squaddies, can we just stop and laugh for a second? Harry hasn't even stepped off the plane, and somehow people are already discussing what might happen. What? The visit hasn't started. No speeches, no public appearances, no photos, nothing. Yet somehow we've already got predictions, panel discussions, opinion articles, and royal experts breaking down every possible scenario. I'm sorry, how do you become the biggest story before you've even shown up? That's actually impressive. Now let's keep this real. Imagine your old high school announces there's going to be a reunion. One former student says they're thinking about coming. That's it. Suddenly, the teachers are talking, the alumni group is talking, the local newspaper is talking. People are asking, what happens if they show up? Meanwhile, the reunion hasn't even started. Wouldn't your first thought be, wow, that person must still have some serious pull? Because if they didn't, nobody would care. Simple. Here's what gets me every time. For years we've heard this same line. Harry is irrelevant. Harry doesn't matter. The public has moved on. Okay, then why does one possible visit create enough material to fill newspapers before the man has even packed his bags? Somebody make that make sense. Regular people understand this without needing a royal expert. If there's a former coworker you genuinely don't care about, you don't spend 2 weeks discussing their holiday plans. You don't call meetings, you don't make predictions, you don't keep asking everyone, so when are they coming? No, you've got your own life to live. That's how real indifference works. But this looks different. It's almost like Harry walks into the conversation before he walks into the room. And that's the part nobody can ignore. Sometimes the build-up becomes bigger than the event itself. That's wild. Even funnier, every article wondering whether Harry will attract attention ends up attracting more attention to Harry. Talk about doing the job for him. It's like trying to whisper in a library with a megaphone. Mission failed. Here's what I think ordinary people see. When someone's name keeps coming up before anything has even happened, that's usually a sign people expect them to matter. Not because anyone was told to care, because they already do. The bigger point is that the conversation starts long before Harry arrives. That's not something you can schedule. You can't order people to be curious. It happens naturally. And after all these years, that's still happening. Years after stepping away from royal duties, Harry can still dominate headlines before a visit even begins. He doesn't need to say a word. He doesn't need to make an announcement. His name alone gets people talking. And when that keeps happening year after year, it's pretty clear one thing hasn't changed. Harry remains the most closely watched members of the royal family, not because someone handed him that attention, but because people keep choosing to give it to him. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. It's your host, Miles. Love you all. Goodbye.